Yo, what's up, everybody? We are the Black Culture Podcast. As always, that is my man Price, aka Smooth, Dr. Love, Sexual Chocolate, all
Where
the
you getting that?
above. I am the Willie Ashford. First off, as always, we want to thank everybody for subscribing to the channel. If you have not already, go ahead and subscribe, hit that like button, share the video, and leave a comment. Listen, if you watch the video, leave a comment. We love comments. Even if it's a thumbs up, leave a comment. We love our comments. But listen, our last relationship video we did got a lot of reaction to it. And relationships, we are the culture. We are the Black Culture Podcast. Everything we do, we like to make sure it's benefiting and helping the culture, bringing awareness to the culture. And one thing that Price and myself we talked about was in our culture, what we do a lot, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in business, but we always compare,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of it is envy. Sometimes it may not be, but we always compare and we try to, I remember my mom back in the day had a quote called keeping up with the Joneses.
Mm-hmm.
Your brother may be in a financial state that you're not there yet. So instead of working to get there to get where he is at, or even congratulating them, you have that, man, how did he get that?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I wish I could do that. Now, I'll be honest. This is me speaking from experience.
Mm-hmm.
If I could just be honest with you, I was at a point in my life where I was comparing. I saw people that I may have felt like, wow, how did they get there? And I'm looking like, yo, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. How is they there? How are they there? But I'm not there. So we're gonna get into it a little bit. First off, before we get into it, man, I want to ask my man's how was your day?
Busy day, man, but productive. How about yourself?
Same, busy, worker, father, slash part-time football coach. So yeah,
Slash husband.
slash husband, yeah.
Right.
All right. So but listen, man, we talked about this yesterday.
Yeah, we talked about it last night, man.
Yeah, comparing, man. And it's something that if you really don't like catch it, it kind of just becomes normal, right? Because you kind of definitely, if you're at a point in your life where you feel like you should be or you shouldn't be, you kind of compare. You look at the people around you, you look at your neighbor, you see a neighbor driving in with the new cars, driving the new furniture, new TVs, and you like, man, how do I get there? So first off, man, have you ever been into a point to where you felt like you were comparing, or have you ever like so okay, you said you were. So like if you want to share it with us.
Oh yeah, man. Absolutely. And it's like, in a sense, we're like taught to do that anyway, just from our culture. When we see somebody, especially somebody that we know, immediately we're thinking, how, like you said, how did they get that? Should, and I'll take it even further. Sometimes we think they shouldn't have it.
They no, legit, you say, man, they don't deserve that, man.
Right,
How?
exactly. Like, how does he get that and I don't have it? It's like, well, he probably worked for it or did whatever they had to do with it. But yeah, I used to compare a lot, especially when it came to, so I'm a little older than you, my age group. And society, you're supposed to be at certain levels when you're at a certain age. And we're
Mm-hmm.
taught that. You know, when you're in your 20s, you're allowed to get away with certain things. But by the time you reach 30s, mid 30s, on the way to 40, you're supposed to be quote unquote established, right? And by all intents and purposes, you know, we live in arguably the richest country in the world. Us as Black people are one of the richest minority groups in the world, but we're always taught not just to compare, but to get more and more and more stuff. So going back to your point, keeping up with the Joneses, that usually means you got a fly car, you live in a nice home in a nice neighborhood, you wear nice clothing, right? You make a certain amount of money a year. You're able to afford to do certain things like, take vacations. You might be a member of this club or that club, being able to go out to nice fancy dinners, go out to the play, go out to sporting events, or even from a young age, you went to this college, you have this degree, you married this woman into the right family, and all that's usually what that goes into, keeping up with the Joneses. Um, and I tried to keep up with the Joneses when I was in my 20s, man. You know what I'm saying? I was making money, but as soon as I was making it, man, I was spending it just to try to keep up with people that honestly at that point, at that time, were way ahead of me. And it wasn't like, so me, I was just getting started. They had already been doing it for over a decade. So they were established. I wasn't, but you know how it is when you're young, you want to look like you established too. You want to be that guy. And usually for us guys, we do it for the attention of women anyway,
Girls,
right?
yeah.
So yeah, I that was me in my 20s.
Man, you brought up something like thinking about it now, being older, it sounds like so foolish how they will put like a number on when you're supposed to be established, right? It was like you said, it was like, yo, if you ain't doing nothing by 25, you're behind, you're failing, you're not doing nothing, which is like we see people switch careers all the time. Like in 40s and 50s, people, you know what, man, I'm switch my career up. I want to do this. See people going back to school now. And and I think so, like when you talk about like comparing, like I think none of us realize what it took for them to get there. Because all we see is the finished product. We don't see the how they had to pay off this bill or they had to get their credit, which is something that is not taught in our culture quick enough. It's taught in our culture. Well, really, I wouldn't even say it's taught. It's something that is more learned than taught. It's starting to
It's
get taught now.
it's right, exactly. I was gonna say that it's starting to get taught, but when you and I were coming up, it wasn't taught.
Yeah, it was something you had to learn, usually the hard way.
Right.
So, and that's another thing you would look at like, man, how did they get that car? How did they get that house? It's like, yo, instead of comparing, looking at what they got, you should take that energy and that time to work on your goals and like set goals. Maybe that was their goal to get that house. Maybe they set out a plan to get that car or to get that whip. You never know. But I think that's in our culture, that's something we have to start doing is really planning out stuff. Like think about this, right? You know how many people in our culture just go rose with the wind to just go as the day goes. To me, I don't think that's a life that's healthy or a life that you should live. That just, hey man, I'm just out here. I'm gonna go. Whatever happens, happens. And a lot of us in our culture have that whatever happens, happens life. So it really comes down to when you set out goals, you set out a purpose now. And a life without a purpose is like that's a life that to me that's a dangerous life because really you just out here. So I think when you talk about setting goals, setting priorities, setting reachable goals too. Because a lot of us may set goals and it may be like, yo, you need to set a goal to get to that goal.
Right. And if you don't mind, man, I want to say this: like, there's nothing wrong with seeing somebody with something and you wanting that something,
Yeah.
but you don't have to sort of downplay their success because they look like you. Because we do a lot of that in our culture. We're real critical. Like if one of us is successful versus somebody from another culture being successful, we tend to downplay the
Mm-hmm.
success of somebody from our culture. And I would just add to your point, how about we start celebrating those wins? Like
Yeah.
when you see somebody who's doing big things, celebrate that. And don't be afraid to go and ask that person, hey man, or one, tell them, look, what you're doing is great. I love it. I love to see our people winning. I would like to do that. Do you have any advice for me? Do you
Yeah.
have
Ask them how they got there. Like,
tips
you know,
so that I can do that? Because I would love to not only be in that position, but to also reach back and help other people get into that same position. But if you don't mind, man, you said something last night that I never thought about. And it's partly because I'm a single guy. But when you talk about comparing it as a couple,
mhm.
comparing, your life, whether you are a husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend, obviously the boyfriend and girlfriend is less of a commitment, but at the same time, you two could have been together long enough where you're paying bills together, you're sharing a space together, and you start looking at other couples who are successful and looking at what they got. And it's the same principle where especially if they're from your own culture, people that you know, you like, how did they get that? They shouldn't have that, right? I would love for you to speak a little bit on that about what it's like to compare as a couple.
Man, that's one thing that is a dangerous slope too, because again, like we talked about it and we had a saying that you can lie to yourself and for yourself all day, but when you land down at night and it's just you and the walls and your thoughts, and what's most people do when they laying down in bed, they grab this, they start scrolling through social media. That's when the real comparing starts to happen. Right there.
It hits you like a ton of
It
bricks.
hit you, right? Because listen, man, most people not posting their struggles on social media.
Nah,
They
they're not.
posting the vacations, they posting the gifts, they posting like let's take it from a woman's perspective, right? Ladies, comment if you agree with what I'm saying or if you feel a different way. Scrolling your phone, you see this dude treating this girl like this. You look at your dude sleeping, you like, why he don't do that to me? Why he don't treat me like that?
Sheesh.
Like,
That's
yo,
tough.
like now, fellas, we do it too. But the thing about guys is we may not bring it up, but we looking through like, man, I wish my shorty did that, or man, I wish my shorty had that, or this type of body style, or that. So it's like now what you're doing is really you living in fantasy land, and now you
Exactly.
feel some type of way towards your spouse or towards your significant other, girlfriend, boyfriend, when really you knew what she had when you got with her. So now you sitting up here late at night, like scrolling, like, man. And to me, that's a quick way to light a bad sparking relationship is comparing what other couples do for each other to what you do. Imagine living in a house where somebody's saying, well, this is what Johnny or this is what such and such did. Why you don't do this? Like, what do you mean why I don't do it? Like, I'm not him. Like, stop like that. Like that kills a lot of great relationships and potential great relationships because you may see a couple that may be financially in like a point to where they can vacation. Now you next thing you know, you spending your rent money to go on a vacation when you know doggone well you ain't have it, you ain't planning out for that. So
Right.
that's dangerous, man.
So how did you get past that?
Uh, first things first, man. Like I said, it comes down to listen, man. Marriage is a team effort, right? Takes two people getting on the same page, and it's hard. Like you may like listen, man. There's ups and there's downs in being married. Like my wife and I have had some down times, like right, and I mean like some down times. And how we got through that was we chose the route of coming closer together and encouraging each other at our lowest points. And it's hard doing that when you're at your lowest point because really, let's be honest, when you're at your low point, it really comes to you just trying to speak stuff into existence. When you really know deep down, like, yo, we in a muck, like, but you're trying to really speak that. So it takes a team effort. Like being married is a team effort, but you can't. That's when you really have to stop looking at that. You have to set out a goal of okay, where do you want to be next year? Start right there. This is this year. We're in this place financially. Just people, a lot of people go with 5 years. Really, where do we want to be around this time next year? And how do we get there? And then start building that. So that's one thing, like, is a glorious thing. The great feeling is when, and my wife and I, we're in a better place. We not haven't reached all our goals by far, but reaching goals together and improving financially, mentally, physically towards each other, like and to look back and say, dang, man, you remember where we were last year or 2 years ago? To me, that's what we need more of. And I just hope, like, because there's a lot of young couples, black couples. I love seeing like young couples married, but I love seeing young black couples married because for the longest, marriage was like not the cool thing. You know what I'm saying? It was considered being tied down or whatever. But I love seeing it because if you can get together and you can come together as one and you can just, hey, this is where we want to be. How do we get towards it? And you accomplish it together, yo, that's one of the best feelings in the world. So to me, coming together, getting a plan together, and just blocking out the noise. You hear like athletes say that a lot, like block out the noise. Blocking out the noise in marriage can mean blocking out family members, Because you all know you got family members that say, baby, you shouldn't be with him. If he can't do this, if he can't do that for you, then what you with him for? Fellas, the same way. We got our boys like, yo, man, why you with her? Shorty over here could do this. Like, block out the noise. Stop telling people your business. Only you and your wife should know what's going on financially, because you may know this too. Man, once you get other people in your ear on the outside, then you really down the slippery slope. But really just teamwork, man. Like get a plan together. Like I understand a 5-year plan, but I like to say start with where do you want to be around this time next year? You gotta lay it. To me, that's laying the foundation and the groundwork. So just teamwork and coming together with a plan, man.
So one of the trends over the past few years, especially when Obama was in office, and obviously pre-COVID, you had couple or black people comparing, especially the women, Barack and Michelle, Jay-Z and Beyonce, right? Which to me is like, look, ain't too many of y'all gonna be president of the United States. Ain't too many of y'all gonna be a pop star or whatnot. So I feel as if the reason why I say that is that there's nothing wrong with shooting for the moon. But at the same time, if that's not your lane, stop trying to compare to people that's not even in your lane. So, okay, if I'm a pop star and I'm a celebrity, I can probably make that comparison. If I'm in politics, I can probably make that comparison. But 99.9% of people aren't in politics and they're not celebrities. So I feel like sometimes we create these unrealistic standards for each other. And it's not just in relationships, it's also just for black people, period. Like I'm sure you heard this saying, you growing up, you got to be twice as good, right? Twice as good as your white counterparts. But to black people, we also got to be twice as good, because it's like if we're not a billionaire, if we don't have all this money, all these accolades, all these accomplishments, then to each other, we treat each other as if we're just average. When the case in point is we created this culture that the whole world loves. So I just feel like these unrealistic standards that we try to compare ourselves to, which really takes away from what we're meant to do, right? The purpose that we're meant to achieve. Like, for example, you and your wife could be meant to achieve something that could be just as impactful as a Jay-Z and Beyonce or a Barack and Michelle, but it's just a different thing. But you constantly comparing yourself to them, you'll never get there simply because you're looking left when you should be looking right.
Yeah. And I try to tell people too, like, that's where what we talked about earlier, and this is just not even in relationships. This is in life, period. Like you talked about outrageous and high expectations. Yo, we have to set reachable goals. There is the ultimate goal. And I believe that, and to bring spirituality into this, I believe that God wants us all to live the life that we want to live. Whatever the perfect life or the ultimate life you want to live, I believe God wants us to live that. Just what are you doing to get there? And if the ultimate goal is to have a mansion, okay, set that goal. But you also got to make reachable goals to get there. Because if that's just the only goal, you're going to drive yourself crazy. Like, who's to say you can't get to where Beyonce and them at, right? You could be, but what are you doing to get there? They didn't just wake up like that. They didn't just.
Oh no, they spent decades.
Yeah, like that, like that's the thing, right? People want that lifestyle, but they don't want to put the work in to get there.
Or let me just throw this at you, Willie. Is that really what you want? Or are you just thinking you want that because you're seeing the attention that they get? Because what I found is that a lot of people want the attention and the accolades versus, okay, if I'm rich and I'm famous, then people will like me more. If I'm rich and I'm famous, the people who didn't think of me as up here will now start to look at me up here, because we do a lot of that. A lot of what we do is for attention. But at the end of the day, is that really truly your desire? Is that really what you want? And I'm not just talking about you. I'm talking about our people, period. Because truth of the matter is, most people don't want that. Most people don't. Do you really want to
Most
not be
people
able?
want to be rich but not famous. It's one
Well,
thing to be rich, but to be rich, and to me, because there's a lot of rich people that we don't know about that's not famous. But to be rich and famous, I don't think, like you said, I don't think people they want that.
I,
But I don't
I
think you
won't even say
realize
that.
how much of being in it like that, like it ain't all
Mo-
like.
Most people just want to be comfortable. To be honest with you,
Mhm.
that's that's the real, and that's any culture. Like most people just want to be comfortable because people who thought they wanted to be rich, just take those lottery winners, right? Hit the Powerball or whatever big sum of money they won. They thought they wanted to be rich. You didn't know how to handle that money. That's why I think the Bible says that a man and a fool and his money will soon part. Right? You got all these people. You got the cousin you ain't talked to in 20 years. Hell, you ain't even know it was your cousin until you won that lottery.
Man,
Right?
listen, what we say a couple of months ago, it's hard. Listen, man, it takes hard work to make $1 million. Just $1 million, right? It takes hard work to make $1 million. It's not, they don't take that hard of work to blow $1 million.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
so imagine working your whole life to get to that point, just to get there and realize, man, I'm not educated enough. And when I say educated, I mean how to handle your money, how to invest your money, the right people to put to trust with your money. And you get there, and then
Taxes.
ooh, come on, man.
I
He
mean,
gonna get his. Uncle Sam will get his.
like, bro, I can't like the move. If anybody's listening, the move is if you win or whatever money you come into, say, man, I wish you would have hit me up a week ago. I didn't invested that money, man. It's
Yeah.
gone. That's the move right there.
Yeah, man. But you hit the nail on the coffin. Like we look at celebrities and you look at the access they have to things and attention they get, and they want that life. But if you really want to get into it, most famous people, like we all do, but most famous people, because of the spotlight, because of people coming at them, struggle with mental health.
Oh,
Because you
absolutely.
got all these things coming at you, got all these people coming at you. Like
Yeah,
I
and
listen.
and and most of them don't enjoy that either.
No, and right, and we don't see that because all we see is the names everywhere, their faces everywhere. But like to me, it's just me. I'd rather be rich or, like you said, comfortable and not famous. Don't get me wrong. Like this goofy stuff I do, a few people will know me, but I won't be like known worldwide, and I'm fine
Right.
with that.
You
Like
you, you want to be able to go out, eat dinner with your family. You want to be
I
able
was just
to,
about to say that. I don't think people realize the pressure of
oh
not
my
be able to
goodness.
just do normal family stuff.
Right. Not just being able to be with your wife and kids, being able
Yeah,
to
you
go
can't just
go.
go randomly to the park and watch the sunset with your
Nah,
wife.
nah. And I specifically brought up Barack, Michelle, Jay-Z, and
Or they
Beyonce.
can't go nowhere.
There's some they gotta, and if they do, they gotta go with security. And is that the life you really want to live? Like,
I did imagine that, trying to take your lady somewhere and you got your old buff boy behind you because you don't want people walking up
exactly.
to you, or you know what I'm saying?
So you can't just be rich. You're forced to spend more money to be able to protect the
Yep.
people that you care about. So, but yeah, man, I think the message, and it's clear, is stop comparing yourself to what other people want, but get in your mind the purpose and the things that you want for your life, because God put us all here specifically for the gifts he gave us, not the gifts he gave somebody else.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
but hey, huh?
I say no, yeah, that's it.
But look, before we go, I got one last question for you.
What's up?
I gotta know this. Was you that dude laying in bed at night scrolling through Instagram?
Man, I wasn't like the one scrolling through Instagram, but I was the one would like see like people, or even be honest, even certain family members. And I'm like, man, these niggas dead wrong. And they got that house, or they got that. Like, and to me, like I look back at it now, like, yo, that's you really hating if you think about it. Like,
Hey, so look, I gotta ask because we know a lot of times people be on the gram stunting.
Yeah.
They're
Oh, you
post.
know that's what made you mad more because you know the real.
Right,
You just
right.
look like yo, they not one, they doing this, they doing that, they not even like yo, and they got this. So you just like, and you just on the meantime, you're not really like counting. Like I'm at a point in my life now, I try to find the good in everything. You're not even counting the little blessings or the blessings you do got because you're so busy focusing on worrying about how in the world did they get that and I don't got it. So
Man,
yeah,
I think you should end on that note. I think you should end on that note talking about because that's very true. A lot of times we're not looking at the blessings that we have, and that there's people in this world, a lot of people in this world that would switch places with us in a heartbeat.
yeah. Listen, man, there's literally people that have to scrape up change just to get gas to get to work. Like, there's literally people that, and when I say don't have any food to eat, they have no food to eat, and you're in a house, bills paid, clothes, food, water, job, car. It may not be the car you want. It may not be the house you want, but you have something that a lot of people don't have. And instead of thanking God for that, being grateful for what you do have, trying to position yourself to improve what you have, you taking all your time and energy wondering how your neighbor or your family member have things that you wish you had and you don't have. You're wondering how they get that. And you're not even wondering, you're really upset that they have that. That's really what it is. You're upset that because you feel like you know them, you grew up with them. You really feel like, let's keep it real. You see, like, they don't deserve that. I deserve that. I should have that life. I should have that man. I should have that woman. I should have that. Why don't I have it? And it's people that don't have somewhere to sleep tonight. It's people that won't have a hot meal in the morning. It's people that don't have a job. So and then like we just don't count our blessings because we're so busy looking at what our neighbor has. And like you said, go talk to them, ask them how they got it, ask them what did they do to get there. And a lot of times we're embarrassed to ask it because we feel like we're too good to ask it. You know, we
Yep.
feel like we
Say it.
like that pride, right?
That oh man, hey, and we got a lot of it.
Man, listen, right? We so prideful, right? Think about this. Imagine being like too prideful to ask a question and you're not even happy with the life you already got.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we have to stop comparing. We have to stop hating because that's really comparing really is you kind of hating. You're not really congratulating them. You may say you're happy for them, but when you go home, you wondering how the hell did they do that? How the hell did they get that? You did all that smiling for hours. Hey, congrats! I'm happy for you. And you get home like, what the hell did they do to get that?
And that's, it's crazy, man, because it's like deep down we really feel like that. It took me years to really check myself so I can
Because don't it come
actually
like natural? You don't even realize you're doing it in that
now,
moment.
yeah,
Yeah,
now. But before I was that dude that was somewhat disappointed in myself that I wasn't stunned. Because look, at the end of the day, we all want somebody to be congratulating us,
yeah,
but we don't want to congratulate nobody else. And we know why that is because of how we've been pitted against each other and programmed over the hell centuries now.
yeah.
But something that we can definitely change, man. And for all the couples out there, great point, man. Um, because now I got something. Now I learned something, right? Being single and walking into a relationship in the future, knowing that look, what they got is theirs. And
Yeah.
that's awesome. I congratulate them. And I actually can congratulate. I don't know if it's easier to build wealth single or together. I don't know. But what I do know is I know that I asked Steve Lott, the finance guy. I was asking him about how,
The interview is out right now on the Black Culture Podcast. Go check it out.
yeah, man, divide and conquer is a great episode. I asked him, because it's very impressive when you see a couple who's doing it together. Not just the man doing it and they're together, but they're both working in the business. And that brother's got Airbnbs, cannabis business, cars on Turo, credit repair program. They're doing some big things, and they started off sharing a living space with three of his cousins. So they was literally on the ground floor, and they worked and built that. And that to me, I got to give them props for that. And I think that lesson is this, man. Like you said, if you can set a goal, you can accomplish anything. You can have whatever any other couple has if you work for it, if you put it together. So there's really no reason to be envious. But we got to stop this pride thing, man. Where it's like, if I see you doing well, I can't let you have that moment. Like, I'm not liking your picture on Instagram. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I gotta scroll past your picture.
Go right past it.
I have done that before. Like, man, and then you know what? I actually caught myself. I scrolled back down. I liked it. I gave him the muscle sign, like keep going, because at the end of the day, I would want somebody to be happy for me.
Yeah, and then let's not be clones too. Let's have our own image, our own.
I like that
marriage. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Like
you don't want to be a clone from another person's relationships.
Yeah, because you really don't know what's going on.
Come on, man. Like we said, listen, they not posting the last bit of. Listen, man.
Go ahead, say it, man. I know you want to.
Listen, man. They not posting the struggle it was to pay that last car note or whatever. So again, man, just know, listen, life is still life at the end of the day. Hey, they man, still got problems.
It's funny you said that. I used to know a lady. She had a nice brand new car. She was always complaining about that damn bill.
You got the car.
You know what I'm saying? Look,
take it back. Like, tell them come get it. You got it. Like,
she was looking good too in it, but boy, when she went home, that bill was hurting. She said it seemed like that bill came every week.
Yeah, but man. All right, man. That's
yeah,
man. That's all we got, man. You got anything else before we get up out of here?
Nah, brother. So I think we've decided that we're gonna rock this out every week. We're gonna be bringing y'all relationship for the culture. Or I should say relationships for the culture, because this is not only is it a hot topic, but it's a trending topic, and it's a very necessary one, because right now we need a lot more love and the Black culture.
That's the word right there.
Yeah, man. And that goes for if you're in a relationship, if you're married, or just individuals. It's nothing wrong with brothers showing each other love and bigging each other up. There's nothing wrong with sisters showing each other love and bigging each other up. And believe it or not, what the kids see us do, they're going to do. If, part of the reason why we're the way we are is because of what we saw our parents, our uncles and aunts, our grandparents, what we saw them do and not do, which would show a lot of love. So, we're past that age of just being able to survive. We can thrive in our culture, not just financially, but also in the space of mental health and in the space of love. So shout out to Willie Ashford, because he brought this topic up. Honestly, I didn't want to do it, but when he explained it to me, I saw the wisdom, and this is a very necessary topic. So we're going to be bringing new content every single week. Be looking out for that. If you guys have something specifically about relationships that you want us to touch on, talk about, be sure to drop it below. And make sure that you like, subscribe, share, follow us, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, and you can also listen to us on Apple, Google, and Spotify.
All right, man. Peace.